You're listening to What It's Like with Luce, a podcast highlighting ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host Lucy Norris, and on today's episode, I'm chatting to one of India's first electronic dance music producers and DJs. Raised in a traditional New Delhi family of chartered accountants, his career path was set out for him before he was even born. One evening, having celebratory drinks following the completion of an accountancy exam, the young creative spotted a poster for a Dutch DJ who was playing a gig in his area, and he never looked back. Taking music production classes at an academy in secret, he quickly realised he had quite the talent for it and began uploading his tracks to social media, where they quickly gained traction. Becoming the first Indian to sign with Hardwell's record label, things were snowballing for him until right before his first international gig in 2015, tragedy struck with the passing of his father. A pivotal point in his career, it was from that moment he decided to really go for it, and 7 years later he is a pioneer in his field and one of India's best. Opening for artists such as Justin Bieber, Martin Garrix and Steve Aoki, here's what it's like to be Sartek. Before we get stuck into the episode, I just wanted to say that if there is a drop in sound quality throughout, I'm very sorry, but in respect of social distancing during COVID-19, I've had to record episodes remotely. In this challenging time, we're all trying our best, so I really hope everyone is staying safe and that you enjoy the episode. Welcome, Sartek. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me today. I would really like to kick things off by going all the way back and chatting a little bit about what your experience was like growing up in New Delhi.
So I've been born and brought up in New Delhi since the last 30 years. Uh, this music scene came up very late in my life. So I come from a family which is full of accountants. So I was forced to do accountancy for like a major part of my life. But somehow I think something struck my chords, and the music scene became so big in India, especially in Delhi, that my interest towards music became so big. So yeah, I'm a proper Indian by heart, by nature, by looks, by even by the accent, proper Delhi boy.
I think it's the one thing that really struck me about your story is that you started out, I guess, in the working world, as a chartered accountant.
Yes. So my family is full of chartered accountants. So it's a thing in Indian parents that what the father does, the son has to do.
Okay.
And then he had a big accounting company. So he always wanted me to join his company and take it ahead. But fortunately or unfortunately, I started attending gigs of different artists coming to India, and that's where I realized I don't want to waste my time 9 to 5 in the office. So, and that's how the music scene, and that's how my interest sparked.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. I'm definitely not a 9 to 5 office type person, but that must have been so interesting. It must have been so interesting for you, I guess, knowing that you had this passion and love for something, and then kind of forced is the wrong word, but being steered in such I guess stereotypically uncreative job.
Yes, exactly. It took me hard time. It took me like about 4 or 5 years to explain my parents, my family, okay, what I'm doing is because in India, a DJ is not considered as a good job because there are a lot of DJs who start and the income level is very low. But once the name is big and once you go in the proper entertainment field and once you get big shows, that's when they realize, okay, so this guy's doing something well in his life. This all happened because I cleared one of my exams, and my father gave me some money to go and get some beers at the bar. And there I saw a poster of this Dutch DJ playing just next to my town. So I'm like, okay, no exams. Exams are done. Mind is completely relaxed. I used that pocket money to attend the show, and after that, the whole scene changed for me.
I think it's such an amazing story. And so once you did have that pivot and you decided to, I guess, take up DJing either as a hobby or really trying to work towards entering that industry, how did you
Yeah.
go about that, considering that, you didn't have any experience?
Yeah. So the first day when I saw this gig of this DJ, I came back home. I was a typical fanboy. I downloaded all kinds of music of the dance music charts and electronic music, searched different DJs, the big legends, Tiesto and Amin. And then I realized, okay, this is something interesting. This kind of sound is not in India. And then luckily, there was this academy which was just 2 kilometers from my house. and I was searching online how to make electronic dance music in New Delhi. And these guys were starting the same time my interest sparked. So I joined that academy. It took me like about 4 years to finish the course. And that's the time where I was learning music instruments, music production. And I still remember the first day of that academy, the instructor was very surprised that you have so much in birth knowledge of music even without knowing how to play an instrument. So that gave me extra inspiration to do what I'm doing.
That's
So
really
after
cool.
completing 4 years, I started making music, started sending my songs to different DJs all over the world, opened up a Facebook page, started learning how Instagram works, how Spotify works, how this works, that works, and that's how it became.
That's so cool. I think it's so inspiring as well to hear that. So you took it on upon yourself to go and learn in a school, but then it sounds like so much of the work afterwards was just self-taught, and you just really took it, on and went for it yourself.
Yes, yes, exactly. So it's that time I had to do my child accountancy course as well, and this was also happening. So I had to sneak out. I had to tell my parents that I'm going for my accountancy classes when I was doing my music classes. When I was doing music classes, I had to tell them the accountancy. I was just trying to play games in my house. But when I started posting my music on social media, then when they realized, okay, this guy's doing something else. And luckily, I think it's not always hard work, not always talent. There's always a big factor of luck. There were big music festivals coming in India at that time. There was the Sunburn Festival. There was this Ultra Music Festival. These guys started coming to India, and they wanted Indian DJs to, open the slots for them.
Yeah.
And that time, this is I'm talking about 2012 and 11, when they found me on social media. I got contacted. So I think it's a big, good combination of luck and obviously the dedication.
I don't know too much about DJing
Okay.
as an
Yeah.
industry, but it would appear sometimes from the outside that it could be quite a saturated market or something that a lot of people want to go into and make work for themselves. I guess maybe because of the lifestyle you see on social media or whatever with your touring and things. How did you establish yourself as an individual or find your own sound when you were entering into the industry?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So when I was starting in 2008 and 9, India is very big in Bollywood music.
Yeah.
So out of 1.2 billion population, if there are at least 5 million DJs, out of 5 million, 4.9 million are Bollywood DJs.
Okay.
So there were hardly any people who were doing electronic dance music, the technos, the big rooms, the interesting sounds where you heard music festivals.
Mhm.
So I was one of the few people in India at that time, probably in the first top 10, who was trying to get international sound to India. And this interest was sparked. So there was a bit of insecurity because the whole India listens to Bollywood. And how would you sell this kind of music?
Yeah.
It's like opening an Indian restaurant in Japan next to a sushi place, right? So the whole everybody wants to eat sushi. So but then that time it was a big struggle to get the music out. Luckily, thanks to the festivals, thanks to the big DJs who were touring, they started promoting me. They started playing my tracks all the festivals, and that's when my fan base started growing as a person who started this music scene in India.
Do you remember your first big gig?
Yeah, my first big gig was in a medical school. Um, so this big festival in Asia is called Sunburn Festival. They do all the big DJs. You heard of David Guetta by any chance?
Yeah, yeah.
David Guetta, DJ Tiesto. So this festival is happening in a medical school ground. And last minute, one of the international DJs who was supposed to fly from Australia cancelled. So they were very stressed. So somehow they contacted me, and I got the chance to play that festival. And that's when I realized, okay, so playing 10,000 people, and that was my first gig. Obviously, I couldn't just sleep night before.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, yeah, it's the fan base started growing. People liked the music, and these guys gave me good confidence that, okay, you know your shit, you're good, man. And then that's how my name Sartek as a DJ went on the market.
Yeah, I think it's really incredible. I didn't really know that India did have such a big scene for DJs.
Even after such a big population, I think more than 60% are youngsters. So you'll see people aged from 10 to 30 are 60% of the population.
Mm.
And these people always want to party, always want to get out. So the festival scene, the concert scene in India is huge till date.
Yeah, I need to come and experience it.
Oh yeah, it's mind blowing. Like 50,000 people for a concert is just the average number for us.
That's crazy. So you definitely weren't really eased into the performance side of things. You had such a big audience to play to from the get-go, as opposed to Europe where it might be like 200 people in a club or something like that.
Yeah, yes. So that's when, I decided to make a team. There was a tour manager, there was a guy who used to coordinate my lights, there was a guy who used to do my PR. So as they say, always make a team and grow in life, right? So
Mhm.
every expertise I could get for big concerts, I hired those people, and they work for Team Sartek till date. So I'm lucky in a way. It's been 7 years, and I have good guidance from all these uh, expertise from the professional industry.
I'd say that it can be quite overwhelming when you enter at first if you don't really have knowledge or experience of the music industry in terms of personal life. Did you ever find yourself maybe becoming overwhelmed because of the lifestyle or being swept up in the fast pace of it? Did you ever have any moments where it became overwhelming?
Uh, not exactly overwhelming, but I like to share a very incident with you, which was my life-changing incident. So I got my first ever international show booking in 2015 in Bangkok. So when I told everybody in my house, in my family, that I'm going to Bangkok to play, my father was like, "Oh, come on, no, this is not a show. You're just going with your friends to party." So he wanted to travel with me for this show, just to make sure that my son is in good hands and he's not making a fool of me. But then a tragedy hit me. He passed away a day before the show in Bangkok itself. And then I had to cancel the show. I had to come back to India and do all the formalities. And then after a week, I realized so now this DJing is just an hobby, or you're going to make a career out of it? Because now buddy, you're on your own feet. So that's this one incident make me realize, so the fun side, the glamour side is different. Now it's time to make it into a big career.
I'm
Yeah.
very sorry to hear that. That must have been really
No,
hard for you.
it was hard, but it gave me a big impact. It was life changing. I had to realize, come back and see, and just organize myself at what I'm doing with myself in the next coming 10-15 years.
Yeah, and I mean, you've really made a massive go of it. You've created such a huge platform for yourself. It's
Yes.
amazing. And
Yes.
from my research and just following you, you're
Yeah.
quite a pioneer within the Indian industry, as you're the first Indian to be signed to Hardwell's record label, and you've had a lot of firsts for your country in that respect. Can you talk me through a little bit about how those opportunities came to you and how you drew the attention of those huge players in the industry?
Yeah. So when I started my music production scene, I used to put a lot of my music on different forums and different blogs, which were not commercially viable. So these were like, you put your music and let audience hear it. So there was no money involved in there. So there was this one blog which was very popular in Holland, and one of my songs was picked by Hardwell. So he was probably searching that forum for new music, and he picked one of my songs and he played that song at a big festival. When he played that song, that went on YouTube, and then that's what promoted Hardwell's playing my song. And luckily enough, just 1 month after that, Hardwell was in India. I had to meet him. I told the organizers that Hardwell plays my song. They confirmed with him. And when I met Hardwell, oh, you're from India? Oh, that's amazing, man. I never thought Indians can make dance music. So he said, I thought India's all about Bollywood and stuff. So that's when he became friends with me, and then he wanted to work with me for new music stuff. Then after this signing, I was in Amsterdam for like about couple of months, because this whole dance music industry is controlled by Dutch people. I met the publishers, the music agents. I went to the studios, learned more like how the music is processed, how these labels work, and try to gather all the knowledge, make different connects, different places, and keep sending them my music daily.
It must have been such like when you got that email or however it was that he reached out to you or you noticed that he picked up your music. What was going through your head at that moment? What did it feel like?
First I thought that it's somebody who's trying to prank me, some friend of mine who just put a video on YouTube. But then I searched like 10 different websites, different blogs, and like, no, dude, Hardwell really played my track. And that time, I don't know, it was very. I was not very excited. Like, I was very emotional. Damn, this was the day I was waiting for. And then I tried sending Hardwell mails, but because he was a big celebrity, he didn't read any mails. But somehow God was with me. He came to India next month, so
It's fate.
It
It
was
was
like,
meant to happen.
yeah, it was meant to happen. Yeah.
That's crazy. And I mean, you have some of the biggest fans in the industry following you, and you've attracted the likes of David Guetta, who's
Yeah.
a big fan of your music. So how did so I guess after the Hardwell moment happened,
Yeah.
would you say that was kind of your breakthrough moment?
Yes, that was a breakthrough moment. So once Hardwell discovered me, so when any big DJ plays a song, that song goes live on different channels, and so all these big DJs follow each other. So if Hardwell's YouTube is followed by David Guetta by Tiesto by Calvin Harris. So you get one exposure, and then you keep giving good music. So they familiarize your name.
So it's kind of like a domino effect, I guess. Everything just
Yes,
takes off from
exactly.
there.
But the hard part is, if one song has become a hit, you have to deliver another song.
So you have to kind of go with that
Kind
momentum
of
before
keep
you lose
going.
it.
Exactly. Do better than before.
And did that bring any, obviously, like you said, that was the moment you were waiting for and everything, but did it bring any pressure onto you or any doubts that you wanted to ride the wave of this, once it all started to kick off?
I think it this got rid of a lot of pressure, because then I decided, okay, my chartered accountancy is done for life,
Yeah.
and this is the only thing to focus on. So I took it the other way. Instead of, before this, I was very confused. Should I do music? Should I do accountancy? Music, accountancy. But when Hardwell was there supporting me, I'm like, okay, accountancy, you're done for good. Bye bye.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no need to do that anymore.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it gave me extra inner strength to work even harder.
And do you have a career high that you can look back on, or maybe a performance, or because I know you've opened for some huge names like Justin Bieber, Martin Garrix, Steve Aoki,
Yes.
pretty much everyone. Um, do you have any particular performance that sticks in your head as maybe your favorite one so far?
I think it has to be Justin Bieber, because that was the biggest show in India till date. But my father used to always tell me, the day you think that this is your biggest show, that's the day you're going down. So no shows are big, and that thing is stuck in my head since day one. So I think, okay, this was 80,000 people. Probably I'll go to Tomorrowland and do 1 lakh.
Yeah.
So what's next? But if you take the numbers in place, then yeah, Justin Bieber was the biggest till now, like the career highlight. Because after playing with Justin Bieber, the whole media got very excited, and that's when the relatives, the people who were very scared about my career, they were like, okay, now this guy's playing Justin Bieber, he must be doing well. So that's when the extra push came from the family also, that okay, now do whatever you want, we are with you.
Yeah, I was just about to ask how your family were kind of following you along with this journey and how they were receiving everything, having wanted you to pursue chartered accounting for so long.
So all these relatives and family friends who were saying, bro, don't be a DJ, do accountancy. But because the media attention was so big, because it's first time Destiny was coming to India,
Yeah.
all the news articles, your daily press interviews, was the PR was so high that the brand Sartek uh, tripled the next day. So because just playing with Justin Bieber was probably the career highlight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that must have been insane. And if you have any female relatives, I'm sure they were very jealous that you were meeting Justin Bieber.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then in contrast to that, do you have any moments thus far that would potentially equate to a career low, or any time that you found very difficult to overcome within your career?
I think that moment is right now. In the last 6 7 years, it was a smooth journey with little ups and downs, which are needed to grow you as a person. But this last 5 6 months with the virus has been huge,
Yeah.
because at the start there were very minimal cases, but now the cases are increasing. The event industry is has gone down. Recently, there was a case of a very famous actor in India who committed suicide,
Oh my goodness.
and he's one of the legends in India, like how Leonardo DiCaprio is. So now the whole event media industry, entertainment industry is scuffled. They don't know what to do, because if this guy can commit suicide, probably something wrong in the system of the Indian media entertainment. What's wrong? But I think it's probably the virus also, and it's a lot of nepotism here.
Okay.
And yeah, daily you have to deal with different kinds of people. But then I think, again, what happens for good. Probably this is going to make me a better person, probably make me realize what my weak points are, And next time if this virus comes back again in 2030, then what are the things to look for?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely a trying time for the world in general, but I do think that the entertainment industry has been one of the industries that's been hit the hardest because you're kind of helpless. You can't do anything. Um, but I would be interested to know if you would maybe ever consider moving to Europe to pursue to take your career abroad if you're finding it difficult to work in India, or do you really want to stay in India?
I think right now my name was a big hit in India because I was one of the few people who was doing this kind of sound in India, making this kind of music.
Yeah.
And in Europe, every house has a music producer. And if I go to Europe, I'm gonna probably do Bollywood, because if you're doing electronic dance music in Europe, these guys already have a bunch of talent there. And India, I have like a kind of a monopoly, because out of all the DJs, less than 1% are doing electronic dance music. It's better to tap the market here right now, and probably once everything's settled, then probably go to Europe, and once the market is captured. But I think India and Asia are still very new with this kind of sound. All the clubs in Ireland, especially Dublin, they all play dance music. But in India, it
Yeah.
just started like in the last 6 7 years.
The other thing that you've done, which I thought was really amazing, you've given two TED Talks as well.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Do TED talks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How did they come about and what was that experience like?
So everybody was very intrigued to know that why did a person who was doing a child accountancy became a DJ. So in our Indian society, the doctors, the engineers, accountants are treated as number one, and the DJs are considered number 100. So they wanted to know that why do you go from 1 to 100 in your career change. And then this my father's tragedy was picked up by a few newspapers in India. So that gave the TED guys, I think, a little motivation, or I don't know, some they wanted to know about me as a person more. So they contacted me on my email, which is on my Facebook ID, and that's how they got in touch with me.
Yeah, I've listened to them both and they're very inspiring talks. And were you nervous to give them or
Oh,
how
very,
was the
very,
actual
very.
experience?
I was very nervous, like probably the most nervous moment of my life, because when you're playing to an audience, you're playing music, you're not talking, and I'm not a good talker. And the worst thing about a TED talk is the lights are in your face, so you can't actually
Oh
see
yeah.
who's in the crowd. Whether are they enjoying, are they yawning at you, or what they're doing at you. So it's all dark, and they're all professors and different professionals from different industries. So it was quite, both the times I was quite nervous, but I had to do it because I thought, if you don't do this, then all the time you're nervous. So this is like an icebreaker of your nervousness.
We've touched on it a little bit throughout the conversation, but there is this stereotype that being a DJ is kind of one of the most glamorous things you can do. And, it's parties, yachts, fast cars, all of that kind of thing. But I'd be interested to know your insight into what life as a DJ, touring, and everything that comes with that is really like from day to day.
uh I wouldn't lie here. You get, it's really fun, because when you're traveling to different cities, different parts of the world, you are always on business class, you get good cars to get picked up, the hotels are always luxurious. But after some time, when you're starting your career, this looks very nice, and you feel you achieved everything for the first 2 3 years, but then slowly and slowly this all fades away. And what you want in life is coming back to your home and just sleeping. So when I started my career, I used to go from one city, party all night, take a flight, party all night, and sleep after 3 days. But now what I do is I finish my show, I sleep for 3 hours, and then take a flight. So it's become a little hectic now, because I think probably with the age also. And then I've realized, bro, if you keep doing this again and again, you won't survive for like more than 10 years. The liver's gonna say no. I had to cut down all that. Now I've become a sober person who goes, does his work, finishes, gives interviews, back to the hotel, eat your nice pasta, take the next flight.
Do you think the
Yeah,
job becomes, because it is a job at the end of the day, I guess you are doing what you love, but it's still a
yeah.
job. Do you think that the job gets less fun as you get more successful?
I think it's how you take it. Uh, it does get more stressful, and because uh, you get so much work pressure and not able to handle it. But if I think if mentally you're perfectly fine, you're taking good care of your physique, you're exercising, your time schedule is perfectly, then I don't think it's going to be a stressful thing. It's just when people who are not able to take control of themselves uh, get this stress thing in them.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, I think. If you had to pick your best thing and worst thing about being a DJ and working in the industry that you work in, what would they be?
The best thing is traveling, meeting new people every weekend, eating lots of new different cuisines every week, and yeah, good exposures of what's happening where. And the worst thing is traveling again. So because get up in the morning, take a flight, you're not in a city for less than 10 hours, you go back, so it takes a toll on the health.
Yeah, I can imagine. Traveling is that double-edged sword where it's so much fun, but then it's also so tiring because I guess you're crossing time zones and like flying in itself is tiring. So I don't know how you guys do it every night, performing, playing, performing.
It starting looks fun, but then you get used to it.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and then it becomes like a job. So my office starts when I reach the airport. So that's when the job kicks in. You get to know you have to work now.
Yeah, it's not just get on the plane, watch movies, and land. You've got to
Yeah,
actually do
yeah,
stuff.
to prepare on the plane, you have to prepare for the music what you're gonna play for the crowd.
We spoke a little bit about this before we started recording, but you were touching a little bit on how at the moment it's a tiny bit hard to find inspiration. What do you do? Well, first of all, where do you usually get your inspiration from? And secondly, what do you do to get yourself out of those ruts when you do need to produce music, but it's just not really happening for you?
So what I do on a general basis is listen to new different kind of artists. Yesterday only I was listening to Japanese classical music,
Oh,
and I was
interesting.
trying to see how the sounds are different, what kind of instruments they use, how are the beats different, and then I try to replicate that in my music. So that's how I get the inspiration by listening to different kinds of music. But when there's a creative block, what I do is I switch off my laptop, close my ears, have a chilled beer, and go to sleep. Wake up the next day, listen to more music, and to the time the creativity is not there, I don't touch my studio. I don't leave my house for the studio, because the more you try to work and nothing is happening, that's going to frustrate you. So it's when you know nothing is happening, you're not able to make music, it's always best to quit it, give some time to yourself, let your ears relax, watch some nice movie, and just relax. So when next day when you go to studio, you're a little fresh, do something new.
And I think that it's really evident to anyone listening or anyone that knows you that you have experienced massive amounts of success in your short career. I think you said 7 years that you've been DJing.
Yep. Yep.
I'd be interested to know what your personal definition of success is.
I think success is a very overrated word, because as I said earlier also, if you think you're successful, that's the time when your saturation of your career comes to a closure, because your your mind thinks that you've become a person which you wanted to become. I think success should be something which nobody has seen in their life, and everybody should try and grow. If earlier you were at number 10, then you go at number 50, then you go number 100. The more you increase, that's a success. Rather than saying that, okay, I'm this, I've become the best, I'm successful. So success is just the journey of what you're becoming in your life, and that doesn't include not only professionally but even spiritual way, even how you're with yourself. So success is a holistic approach, I think.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a unique answer because I do ask all of my guests that question. I've never heard anything like that, but I really like that it should be the journey, not something that you can actually achieve.
Yes, exactly. Because you have to keep going, keep giving your best.
And then I just have one more question for you, and I'm going to let
No,
you go.
yeah.
If I put your 10-year-old self in front of you today, having been through everything you've been through, both in your career and your life in general, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give that 10-year-old self moving forward in life?
So moving forward in life, I would just say be honest with yourself, and what you're doing, give your 100%. Never listen to what others are telling for you. And I have the biggest example. I was in a position where everybody was telling me not to become a DJ, and then I did it. And I would say this one thing, that the only person who can stop becoming from you is you. If you don't believe in yourself, then there's no other way anybody else will believe in you, because you yourself are not convinced of yourself.
You're one of the biggest living proofs of do not listen to what other people say,
Well,
because
yes,
you've smashed through those barriers and then some with what you've done in your career. So it's been so inspiring and interesting listening to you share your story. So I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving
it's
up your
it's it's
time.
my pleasure. I had a good time. I think probably this is my first one in Ireland I've ever done.
Ah,
So,
okay.
so thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much for listening, and as always, please rate, share, and leave a comment if you like what you hear. And don't forget to follow at What It's Like Pod on Instagram and Facebook. To find out more and to listen to Sartek's music, visit the links provided in the show notes and take a look at his TEDx talks there too. I'll be back on Thursday with more inspiring stories, but for now, this has been What It's Like with Luce.